Hey YouTube, so it's been a hot minute since I have filmed anything, so I thought I would film a quick demo and review on the Almay Smart Shade Mousse makeup. Let me go ahead and zoom in here for you a little bit so you can see what the packaging looks like. This is a self-adjusting makeup. I tried to look up some claims online and was unable to find any. So I just have to go based on what's on the bottle here. And I grabbed mine in Light 100, and it says it instantly transforms into your ideal shade. I have used this a couple times, but I figured I would go ahead and do the review and check-ins for you. It comes packaged like this. You've got a little topper like that. I will say that this was super scary to use the first time that I used it. I picked mine up at Kmart on sale, and if you look here, again, zoom you guys in, like that just looks like plastic, but it looks like it's almost like a putty, and it looks gray. So to put that, it looks like a facial, like a clay mask on my face as a foundation was a little bit unnerving. So I'm just going to show you what I usually do. I've already done my normal skincare and prep routine. I've got the Rimmel I know it's like the Rimmel 24-hour lasting primer on right now. It doesn't mattify or anything, which is why my face looks a little shiny. My hair is wet, so that's why it's up in this little mess right now. I'm sure by the end of this video it will be down and dry, but I'm letting that air dry for my curls. So if you're interested to see how this performs, just keep on watching. I'm going to start with what's on my finger because I went in and picked that up. I'm going to apply this with a Real Technique sponge on one side, which is super dirty. I apologize, but I am the only one that's used it. So, and then I will apply it with a brush on the other side so you guys can see the difference in coverage. For the brush, I think I'm going to use this Sonia Kashuk one. I haven't used it in a while. It's a flat top kabuki brush from one of their holiday sets. I think it was their fall release this year. So I'm just going to start by dabbing this all over my face. And I'm sorry I keep like knocking things around. I mean, I haven't filmed in a while. This is a new setup. I recently moved back home, had a lot of things going on the past few months, and classes are about to start again for the spring semester, so I'm not sure how that's gonna play out. But I'm gonna use the Beauty Blender on this side. So I know that's like a lot of excuses, and no one wants to hear excuses, but it is what it is. YouTube isn't my career. I do love filming for you guys when I get the chance. Right off the bat with the sponge, this is not giving me much coverage at all. You can kind of see it adjusting as I buff it in, but it's not doing anything spectacular for me right now. And just so for those of you who don't know, I have really dry skin in patches all over my face. I always have to use a really intense moisturizer. I have a lot of red undertones that are sometimes hard to cover, and I get the occasional like Mount Vesuvius breakout, like what's happening over here. And I do sometimes get a little oily through here, and sometimes my foundation will tend to break up there, so we'll have to see how that holds up through that. Okay, I'm seeing it's actually applying, I think, a little better with the flat top. I think I'm getting more coverage out of the flat top. I think maybe some of what little liquid is in this gel may have absorbed into my sponge, which there shouldn't be too much oil in this since it's formulated for sensitive skin, but I'm still thinking maybe some of that absorbed. I'm going to keep going over this with the brush until I reach the desired coverage that I want. And I always set my foundation. I know some people are like, oh, we'll see if it sets and see if we have to. No, that's not an option. I have to set mine. I don't have time to touch up throughout the day. That's not the way I do things. So we will go in and set this after it sets, but I'll go ahead and let it sit a couple minutes just to give you guys my thoughts on like the natural finish if you weren't going to set this, because I'm sure some of the shininess will go away after I set it. Okay, so I'm still going to let this set for a little bit longer, but just my first initial impressions after building up that second layer. I will say that this blends really nicely into the skin. Like, you can't really tell where it begins and ends on my neck, which is super great considering how pale I am. And I will say the coverage is buildable. I did try to like build it up a little bit in these kind of areas on my cheeks, and it's somewhat builds. It gives a little more coverage, but it's almost like the pigmentation of the foundation doesn't build, if that makes sense. Like, it gave a little more material to cover like that breakout right there, but the actual color of the foundation doesn't build. Like, if you wanted to intensify coverage with pigmentation over redness, it's not really going to do that. I think it's because like once that first layer adjusts, everything, I mean, is set. Like, that's it. It adjusts one time when you initially put it on and rub it in, and that is about it. I did go over all of my brush strokes with my little spongy just to kind of even everything out. And right now, I would say this is most definitely a dewy foundation. More on the dewy side. Definitely not a matte foundation, but I did buy this on sale. Since it was on clearance, I think I paid like $5 for it, but it's usually I think about a $10 or $11 foundation from Almay, so I guess it depends on if you're catching it on clearance on sale somewhere or if you're picking it up for full price. If you guys want to let me know what you guys paid for it and where else you've picked it up, that'd be great. That way other people can know where to get this besides Kmart. So it has been a few minutes now, and you can see some of that shine has gone away, but not much, and it's still very tacky, so I would highly recommend setting this. I did go ahead and prime my eyes and added some concealer in the normal areas, so I can go ahead and set that too with only one layer of powder. That way I'll avoid looking cakey. I'm setting this with the Makeup Forever HD High Definition Pressed Powder. I've been loving this, and again, a Sonia Kashuk fluffy brush from that same set. I'm kind of worried that they may have discontinued this since it was on clearance at Kmart, and I can't seem to find it anywhere else, and I can't find any information about it online. From my personal use of it the past couple weeks, and what you guys just witnessed, I would say it's at the most medium coverage, definitely not full, definitely not a matte finish. I would say it's a dewy finish unless you're setting it with a powder, which as you can see I'm setting this and it's taking away almost all of that shine right away. Like, that's much more matte than what it was compared to this side of my face that I haven't set yet. So if you set it, you can definitely make it matte. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the rest of my makeup and finish it, and then I'll tell you my thoughts on it so far. Then I can do a check-in, give you my overall thoughts. So I went ahead and did the rest of my makeup. Hair is still kind of wet, but I went ahead and let it down so I didn't look like a hot mess like I did earlier. I am going to be posting a tutorial for this eye look, so don't worry. But I wanted to get back into the foundation. It's completely set. I did my, you know, powder contour routine, added some concealer, everything like that. There is still some shine poking through because, believe it or not, I didn't use a highlighter. There is no added highlighter there. That is just the foundation poking through on my face, I guess. The concealer and everything I used was matte. So I don't know whether to be happy or not happy about this. I guess we'll see how it holds up. Usually more dewy foundations tend not to hold up very well on my skin, and they kind of break apart throughout the day, so we'll see how this goes. Right now, I don't know if you can tell on my phone, the screen is like super cracked, but it is 2:31 on my phone and here. So I'll be doing a check-in for you guys. I'll probably take a 15 at work and film something on my phone if I get time. If not, I'll just film my thoughts here at the end of the night when I'm about to take my makeup off and let you know how everything went. So let's give this a go. I've never actually like monitored it throughout the day when I've worn it, even though I've worn it probably 4 or 5 times now, so I'm curious to see what the results are. So I will check in with you later. So it is right now about 11:30, so the foundation has been on for almost 9 hours. It stayed pretty consistent throughout the day. After I noticed that initial wasn't really breaking up, more so it was creasing in certain areas on my face. I'll go ahead and zoom you guys in here. Okay, so as you can see in around my nose here, there are areas that are like super lacking in pigmentation, and it's starting to crease right here around my nose. My lips is where I noticed the biggest trouble earlier tonight as well. Not so much under the eyes where you would expect it to be the worst. My chin is missing a lot of pigmentation. Like, my chin's pretty much naked. And if you look forehead, you can just see it's sinking into a lot of the fine lines that I have, and showing a lot of the texture on my face that it wasn't really showing beforehand, and it still looks really shiny without a highlighter, maybe even more so now than it did earlier. I think I got a little oily throughout the day. I would give this foundation maybe like a 3 out of 5. I did like that it was self-adjusting. That's pretty cool. I think if I were just gonna wear this for like part of a day, like a light day, just to run out and like go to the grocery store and stuff like that, this would be a perfect foundation. For light makeup wear, I don't think it's that great for heavy makeup wear, especially if it's gonna crease like it did. It started to do that at around 6 o'clock tonight, and that was only 4 hours in. I'd like to get at least a good 5 or 6 hours out of a foundation, but granted, for drugstore and the fact that it is formulated for sensitive skin, maybe those price points and the sensitive skin part of things outweigh the cons for you. That's, you know, it's all up to your skin situation. I do think that this foundation might not be good for oily skin, since it did set really dewy initially even after a powder. I would recommend this more so for dry skin, because even though it's showing a little bit of my texture now, and it started doing that about 4 hours in, it's really not, it didn't cling to any dry patches initially, and it blended out really smoothly. I was able to get quite a bit of good coverage out of it initially this morning. So that's why I would recommend it more so for the normal to dry skin, maybe combination skin if you set it with a really good powder and don't plan on wearing it for the long term, or if you are able to touch up throughout the day. But if you have super oily skin, I'm not sure if this is the one for you. Most of Almay's line is for sensitive skin, so I would go with one of their other drugstore foundations if you have more oily skin. So that is my brief synopsis on this foundation, which was, again, the Almay Smart Shade Mousse self-adjusting makeup in the shade Light 100. If you guys have any comments or thoughts about this foundation, or have any questions about my review and the demo, just type those down below. I'm sure I'll be doing more foundation reviews in the future. I hope that you guys found this one somewhat beneficial, and I will see you next time. Bye.